Hello, Star Wars fans. Hey, today's a really big day here at the North Pole. We are just 30 days from Christmas 2020, and the toy making is at its peak. These next 30 days are the rush to get everything double checked, right? We have to take the list, we have to check it twice, and we have to make sure that all the nice kids are on the list and that we have gifts prepared to bring. So this is a big day for us here. And speaking of toys, I did a short video last night, a bit of a rant on Hasbro's Pulse site. Now, Hasbro's been doing a pretty good job of getting toys that are in demand for 2020 around the Mandalorian. This is the year of the Mandalorian as far as toys are concerned, and they've been doing a great job of rolling those out week to week. The problem Pulse has had, or Hasbro's had, was with their Pulse site, where they're advertising the sales of these things and the releases of these toys. You just cannot navigate that site or fulfill your orders through that site. The shipping on there is higher than it is other places, and the quantity, the availability of product is very, very low. It's very disappointing. Wu-Tang Wells, hey, I'm back off the naughty list. I know I had to take that video where I reviewed, we had a little glitch there. I had to take and trim that video where I was streaming in the background the episode 11, chapter 11. It was season 2, episode 3. So, hey, Mark Hamilton, hello, and Gray, hello there. Hopefully we've caught up with the buffering. I know I had a big glitch on my side, so hopefully you guys are able to see things well. So today, I kind of wanted to pick up where we were yesterday. We did a deep dive into chapter 12, and we talked about some of the things where Wells, yes, all is wells in the world. Yes. Very good. Wu-Tang Wells, thanks for being here, buddy. It's good to see you guys. So yesterday, we kind of touched base. We are at mid-season. Chapter 12 marked the halfway point through season number 2. And I thought today would be a nice time to go back and just kind of do a wrap up and address some of the complaints, if you will, that some folks have had. I know that, hey, there's Dale. Hello, Dale. Nap time's over just in time. Oh, Santa. Yeah, there's no nap time for Santa or the elves here at the North Pole in the next 30 days. It just can't happen. So Mike Porter, hello. Good afternoon. Good morning. So it's good to see you. Landa Dubs, good to see you. Thanks for joining. So I know that there's been some criticism out there for season 2, and Trev, if you're involved with the Den of Nerds community, you're familiar with Trev, and he's been less than enthusiastic. Let's put it that way. I don't think he's down on the Mandalorian. It's just that he's challenging the rave reviews that it's getting, and I think Trev's take is more or less that it's mediocre. It's not really all that folks are making it out to be. And I know that I have had interactions with folks online talking about this season and where it's going. Is there any character development? One of the big criticisms that I've interacted with folks around is there's no character development between Din Djarin or the child. Things are just kind of going episodically, and that they meet one issue with another, and it's just about the issue of the week. So yeah, we may have to revisit the naughty nice list there with Trev, right? So it's good. Is the child on the naughty list? I don't think so. The child's doing just fine. So a couple of things here. So folks are talking about it not really developing the characters or moving the story ahead. And I just want to challenge that a little bit. And there's a couple of things to revisit. And I know Josh talked about a lot of spoilers today on his live stream. We're not going to go into spoiler territory at all. We're gonna leave that. I think that there's maybe some credibility in a lot of it, and I think it's very likely that the rumors or the leaks are mostly accurate. But we're not going to talk about those. And if you don't want it to be spoiled, I would highly encourage you to just stay away from that stuff for the next few days. Get past Thanksgiving, enjoy some time with family, and Friday morning, take in the episode, and we'll respond to it in the following week. So, and I'm a little surprised at just how much has come out on this episode when there's been so little in others. So, with all that being said, let's do a bit of a recap, and I want to go back and address a couple of things that I keep seeing come up. And I want to go back to this article from the Wrap. So this article came out in August, and folks lost their minds. This is back where stay away from the den of leaks. Well, Josh was very good about that too, right? If you're going and watching that stream this morning, it was very, very heavily marked, right? There was plenty of notice. But anyway, you don't want to be going to these sites thinking that you'll just take a peek, because you may get things ruined for you. The den had the tea, right? Yeah. So I want to go back to this article from August. And this is where a lot of people just absolutely lost their minds, because Kathleen Kennedy talked about the wealth of content that's available in the expanded universe, kind of seeming to go opposite of what she had said previously, where there was no additional content to build off of. And so there were talks for days, weeks, and it even comes up from time to time. I heard Theory bringing it up again last night. But there was actually some very good content in this article from the Wrap, and I covered it back on this video. Kathleen Kennedy has fans angry from August 25th. And there's this piece of the article I want to go ahead and replay here, just so you guys can hear it, because this is absolutely relevant to what we've seen play out through the season so far, and I think it's going to come in heavily for where we're headed with the season. And then we'll get into the episodes. So let me play this for you guys, and hopefully you can hear it. Just talking to Kathleen Kennedy was talking to Jon Favreau yesterday, and this was again August 21st, so that would have been the 20th, because we're in a visual effects review, which they do every week. And she said, I actually hadn't realized the movie Paper Moon was a big influence on John when he was thinking about this story. Well, I haven't heard of Paper Moon before. I don't know. Let me just ask those. All right, so that's where this came from. It came back from this article in August, and she did this interview and said that she was just talking to Jon Favreau the day before. So this was late August, mid-August, that Kathleen Kennedy had this discussion with Jon Favreau talking about Paper Moon. And right after that, I went out to and oh, that's funny. No, not Goku. No, Wu-Tang. No. Reefer Man Reviews. Hello. So I just want to go back. So I went out and I found Paper Moon online streaming, and I watched it. It's on Adam TV if you want to watch it there. I think it's Adam. You can stream it for free, and I watched it. And by watching that and knowing that was in a staff meeting that Kathleen Kennedy had with Jon Favreau in mid-August of this year, we knew that, or at least I speculated at the time, that was going to have a major part to do with where we were going with the story. And again, Paper Moon follows this orphan whose parentage is somewhat unknown. Her mother had been involved with some prostitution, it's implied, and her father's unknown. And this guy shows up. He's a door-to-door salesman type, and he is a bit of a shyster, scammer, and he stops by for a visit. And he doesn't know that the mother has died. He finds out that she's dead, and he ends up taking this orphan girl with him. And the question along the way is this his daughter or not? And they go from they go from place to place, making their way to her extended family, and that's basically what happens. Yeah. You guys, I'll get caught up here. I feel naked without my wrench. Hey, I would give wrenches. I don't know that I can, but I would. I'll be happy to give folks wrenches at some point. Yeah, Mark, I watched the first 20 minutes of Paper Moon. A bit boring. It is a little bit boring. It's set in the mid, or it was filmed in the mid 70s, and salesman and the girl, the orphan, forming a relationship and bond to one another. And his attitude towards her softens over time. Her attitude towards him softens over time. And how they grow together as they meet each of these issues along the way. Uh-oh, I'm buffering again. Let me see if I can help improve that at all. There's a couple of things I can shut down that may help, and we can reduce the buffering. So let me do that, and hopefully that will get it. Yeah, I'll I haven't given wrenches to anybody yet, Wu-Tang, but you definitely on the list. I will as soon as I get around to doing that, I'd be happy to do so. But anyway, it's about their relationship and dealing with these issues as they go. And the story is more about the journey than it is the destination. And I bring that up because I think that's what we encounter with the Mandalorian in season 2, especially. The season 1 we did, but season 2, let's just go back a little bit and remember he was assigned, Din Djarin was assigned by the armorer at the end of season 1 to take the child is his understudy, right? They have a name for it, the youngling, right? The Padawan, I can't remember the name that they use here, but he's to be under his charge, right? Din Djarin has the child under his charge. He must protect it and keep it safe and take it to its kind. And so the point of the season is to get the child to its kind. And that's, the elves are hogging bandwidth. Bandwidth is going to be a big thing this season. Certainly a lot of virtual online kind of things going on. But so one of the criticisms has been the story is not building. And I think people are overlooking this connection back to Paper Moon that Jon Favreau has built it on. And so as we go through here, I want to talk about a couple of things, and I'll get your all's input as well. But as we go through here, I want to ask the question, what do we see developing or changing, and how is the story progressing? Right. So those are really the major criticisms. And I think that these have been addressed in each of the episodes. And I think it is moving the story forward. But remember that it's more about the journey than it is the destination. And we'll get to that in just a moment. So chapter 9. So season 2, episode 1, chapter 9 was the Marshal. And of course, here we get to meet Cobb Vanth. What was going on? Were we moving the story forward? So Din Djarin is, and Josh asked this question this morning, but Din Djarin is trying to find other Mandalorians. Why? Why is why is Din Djarin looking for Mandalorians rather than Jedi? What's his motivation? What's his purpose? Do you remember? He states why he's doing it. I just want to make sure we're remembering that he's seeking out other Mandalorians so that he can get information. He knows that the Mandalorians and the Jedi were opposed to one another, that they had battles with one another, they were at war with one another, and they saw the Jedi as sorcerers, almost as evil sorcerers that were interfering with things and causing trouble. And the Mandalorians were trying to protect people. So they had this view of one another. And in here, we see Din Djarin looking for other Mandalorians. For what reason? Right? Why is he searching out other Mandalorians? Exactly. Gray, you've nailed it. Yeah, because he was told the Mandalorians know about the Jedi and maybe where to find one. Exactly. That is exactly why he was looking for them. Exactly. It was perfectly stated why he was looking for the Mandalorians. Exactly. He exactly said why he was looking for them. This wasn't like a side mission. It was to move where does he find out where a Jedi comes from? Where does he find out where they are? What does he find out about who they are? And how is he going to get the child to those people if he doesn't know anything about them? The first place he's going to reach out probably would be the guild, right? Because that's what he's been working for. Secondly, it would be Mandalorians. He was raised as a child of the Watch. Remember, he was a child of the Watch. And what were the Watch involved in? They were trying to go back to the old ways. And you go back to the creation of the Darksaber, then the feud with the Jedi, and the battle between the Jedi. So Din has a very negative view of the Jedi, and he's looking for more information because he's just unaware of where to find them. So he's looking for other Mandalorians. He goes back because he gets word from that Cyclops dude that says, hey, there's one back on Tatooine. And he says, well, look, I've been to Tatooine a lot. And I've never seen a Mandalorian there. And he tells him where to go. So, yeah, yeah, Dale Urban, very good point. The road to Hana Moi isn't about getting to Hannah. There's nothing there, right? It's the journey. That's exactly right. That's a good parallel as well. But here he goes and finds Cobb Vanth, who's wearing Boba Fett's armor, and he finds out, well, you're not a Mandalorian at all. You don't have any of the information I'm seeking, right? He's trying to find the Jedi. So the next question, how is it developing the character? Is there character development? How is it changing the relationship between the Mandalorian and his creed, Din Djarin and his creed, Din Djarin and the child, and his mission? Does Chapter 9 move this forward? How does Chapter 9 develop the character of Din Djarin or the child? Or their relationship together? And does it? Primarily in Chapter 9, the child's not involved. Right? Din is working with Cobb Vanth on a side mission to destroy the Krayt Dragon. And so we just get this monster of the week. But why is he doing that? Right? He's doing it to get the armor back. That goes to his creed, right? He still has this creed of wearing that Mandalorians should have Mandalorian armor. Non-Mandalorians should give it up. And so he's just interested in getting the armor back to continue looking for other Mandalorians. He gets the armor back by defeating the Krayt Dragon. And what happens in the course of that? He develops a relationship with Cobb Vanth. I think we will see revisited in the future. And one theme that we see even from season 1, and it carries on here as we talk about chapter 10 in just a second. He's finding out that as he builds these relationships with other people, he has then support mechanisms that come back into play. And I truly believe that Cobb Vanth is going to come back into play at some point, and he's building these relationships. It happened through season 1. We see then with the X-Wing pilots, even in chapter 10, The Passenger, we see that the X-Wing pilots call back to his actions from season 1. So they end up not arresting him. They help defeat the giant spiders, and they are just helping support him from what they've learned of him. He comes from a place of a solo bounty hunter, right? He has no dependencies. When we first meet him in chapter 1, he's very cold, very distant. He hardly talks at all. He still is not the most talkative guy in the world, but he doesn't talk. He doesn't build relationships. And now he's taken on a child, and he's started to form relationships, not only to say Grief Karga, but Cara Dune is a ally that he goes back to regularly. And we also had Quill that he went back to. He's learning that as he keeps to his own creed of doing good, right, being honest and being a person of his word, that forming these relationships with others is actually an asset, not a hindrance. And so we get some of that. Let me see here. Wu-Tang. I think he's looking for information because he wants to make sure he's not just handing the child over to people who could be enemies. That is probably accurate to a degree, right? He wants to get them to his people. He wants to know that those are his people, and not just hand him over to the first person who comes along and says, "Hey, I know some Jedi, I'll take him," and just slough the child off. The man, Din, has a higher creed, right? He has a higher a set of values and morals that he adheres to. And I think chapter 9 helped show us that he's continuing to build these relationships with others. And even though he holds Cobb Vanth accountable and takes the armor, and then we do get the little scene at the end of Boba Fett overlooking. We just still don't know how that's going to play in, but that seed has been planted. So I thought chapter 9 did a good job of setting up the revisit Cobb Vanth and Boba Fett later in the season. Chapter 10, The Passenger. This is the big spider episode, and we see it open with him having to take the responsibility of the Frog Lady. Now, again, remember, Din's foundational point is he's a loner. He really doesn't want to be out there saving the universe, right? He's just trying to collect bounties, get money, move on, and keep his Mandalorian culture, his creed intact. And that's where he started when we first met him. Now he's taken on the child as a responsibility. In chapter 10, he has to take on the Frog Lady as a responsibility as well. Why? Because she had information about where the Mandalorians, where a Mandalorian covert, as opposed to what Josh said, a coven. They're not a coven, it's a covert. So he wants information about this covert so that he can get information about where to take the child, where these people of its type are. And so the story is definitely predicated on that. And he has to take the Frog Lady to get that information. Din then finds out that he can't go into hyperspace, and he's worried because he has other bounty hunters after the child. And he's trying to keep the child safe. He's trying to keep himself safe. And what's he find out on the way? That it's not just the bounty hunters that are after him. It's the New Republic. All right, he gets pulled over by the Popo. Right? The two X-Wing pilots try to pull him over, and he goes on the run from them. So he finds out that he not only is he trying to elude other bounty hunters, but he has to avoid the New Republic as well because they've got a little bit of a uh, uh, interest in him from some other things. So he ends up crashing here on the way, and now he has responsibility for the frog lady. She goes off and gets him into more trouble. You see, she goes for the hot tub bath with the eggs. The child goes and starts eating some spider eggs, and trouble ensues. This isn't trouble that Din earned himself. Those that he had responsibility for created the problem. So now his area of responsibility is expanded to not just himself, not just the those that he is keeping under his wing from people that are after them due to their own value, but now he's having to protect them from themselves, from mistakes that they make. His area of responsibility is being enlarged, and he has more responsibility, and he has to keep them safe from their own actions. And we've seen the child get into trouble from time to time, and he's trying to keep it out of trouble. And here he ends up with the frog lady, leading them into more trouble from these giant spiders. What happens as a result? I already mentioned our X-Wing pilots from season 1 and the ones that were after him get more information that, hey, this guy's creed, he seems to have a moral compass, right? He seems to have a code of ethics that he adheres to, and we're going to cut him a break, and it begins to start building. Hey, reimagining Star Wars. Hello, Magic Maker. Thanks for joining. So I'm getting behind on some of the chat. So let me see if I can get caught up. Go back. I saw you guys chatting a little bit here. Fun jarn about Din Djarin. Oh, okay. So Santa, if Ahsoka doesn't take the child, right, Baby Yoda, how likely do you think it is we get to see another Jedi this season? You know, oh, Mark, you are serving me up a softball. I've got to appreciate it, my friend. Yes, so where we're headed, Josh mentioned this in his speculation. He thought that Ahsoka was going to take the child, and they were going to use the asset to help spring off her spinoff show. For folks that aren't familiar with Ahsoka, aren't fans of hers, people who have joined The Mandalorian and are fans of the child, it only makes sense that Disney would use that asset to help improve a spinoff show. If you watch, I know I'm a broken record. If you watch Paper Moon, you see at the end the salesman, the shyster, he ends up taking the orphan girl to her aunt in St. Louis and drops her off. Her aunt welcomes her there, has dinner prepared for her in a room, everything set up for her to be loved, cared for, and taken care of. And he goes on his way. Well, she stays there. The orphan stays there for just a short time and says, you know what? I really miss this guy. And she runs away, rejoins him on the road. She goes and finds him on the road. And the movie ends, big spoiler. The movie ends with her rejoining the guy on the road, going town to town again. So they are now a team. And so if Ahsoka is the equivalent of the child's aunt, and you're going to follow the storyline of Paper Moon, Din delivers the orphan, the child, to its type, the aunt, the Ahsoka, and then the child will choose to rejoin Din, and he'll end up with the child, or Ahsoka will say that she can't, and that he needs to pursue Luke Skywalker. My early prediction for the year was that this was going to be a quest for Luke Skywalker, and they'd be going from world to world, place to place, following the steps of Luke Skywalker to find him. And that seems largely debunked based on what's happened so far. But I think the second half of the season could absolutely be on the quest for Luke Skywalker, and that's where the child will end up. So that's still my prediction. Yeah, Gray, I don't think Ahsoka will take the child. I don't either. I disagree with Josh there as well. Let's see, where are we? Yeah, Baby Yoda will not star with Ahsoka. Exactly. Feel Ahsoka will give Din the information he needs to return the child home. Oh, yeah, where is home? That really is the question. Where is home? Wandering dog. Hello. Well, hello. Mando was searching for other Mandalorians because he needed to try and locate Jedi. Right. And they vanished, same creed to help find a Jedi. Right. Exactly. The information is in the show. Again, I don't know why Josh, he just kind of misplaced that information. Right. Rumors where he goes after. Right. Josh alluded to that this morning, where he's going to go after. I think Ahsoka isn't the aunt. She doesn't even let that happen. It'll be another Jedi who takes Baby Yoda. There'll be the aunt. Well, perhaps so, Mark. Perhaps so. I don't disagree. Yeah. So yeah, yeah, I got you, a magic maker. Yeah, there are rumors, right? So chapter 10, do we see the Mandalorian's character develop? Do we see character development? Is he still pursuing the mission? Does it move the plot forward? Is it developing the child and the Mandalorian, or Din Djarin? Is their relationship building? To all of these questions, I say yes. I absolutely see those things happening, as well as fantastic story being told along the way. It's about the journey. Again, they overcame tremendous obstacles. Din Djarin is now expanded his area of responsibility to encompass the actions, the resulting actions of those that he's caring for, not just his own actions and the responsibility he has to keep them safe from people who would be after him to cause harm, but also for the actions that they then have, right, as a caretaker of them. So I absolutely think that moves it forward. Great. I disagree with Josh more than I agree with him. I tend to disagree with him a lot too, and I wish that I could have more direct interactions with him, but he's on a different path right now. Hopefully someday we'll get the link back up. Chapter 11. So moving on, chapter 11, the heiress. Mandalorian braves high seas and meets unexpected allies. Well, as I've been mentioning, Din Djarin is learning that his creed, his moral compass, his ethics are help building a coalition, and he's building more support as he travels about. Rather than remember where we started, again, I just keep repeating these things to help emphasize. When we first met Din Djarin, he was a loner. He had no company. He had no support. Even though he was a child of the Watch, you don't see him relying on the Watch. We do see him go to the covert there on Navarro and get support. But even then, it starts off adversarially, not in a support way. So when he first starts, he's being challenged by people of his own creed who won't remove the helmet. Right, this is the way. They are wanting to do battle with him. He's still trying to earn his emblem. He's still trying to earn his armor and all of that. So he's a loner, and he ends up getting support from that covert. He ends up gaining adversaries or support as he meets adversaries, and he is actually building a coalition that continues on in chapter 11, the heiress, where he first meets Bo-Katan and the Night Owls. This was a great victory lap for me. As a magic maker and I were talking about things. We were talking about the predictions for chapter 11, and I've been predicting the Night Owls for some time. and it came to fruition. And I got a bonus prediction right with the Razor Crest falling in the water. That was a happy thing that happened there as well. But in chapter 11, he finds out there's other Mandalorian creeds out there other than the Children of the Watch. It's in expanding his knowledge and understanding of his own people. And again, he's searching them out to find Jedi. And as a result of this story of what happens, he gets that information, the information about where to go to meet the Jedi, to return the child to its kind. That's the whole subtext of the season. So chapter 11 definitely moves that story forward. He delivers the frog lady to her husband. They're able to fertilize the eggs before the child ate all of them. So the one of the eggs hatches. There's a tadpole there, and the child is cared for by some of these people that he has now formed a relationship with. He's cared for while Din goes and takes care of business with Bo-Katan and the Night Owls. Now he's coming head to head against remnants of the Empire, perhaps the start of the First Order, and he's doing battle against them. No longer is he just on the creed of the Mandalorian. No longer is he just following the creed of the bounty hunters, right? He is now doing battle against people who oppress others. Now he's actually becoming somebody who is fighting for freedom. He's fighting for people to be to determine their own destinies, and he joins with Bo-Katan and the Night Owls to specifically take down that vessel so they could use it to retake Mandalore. So he's trying to free Mandalore from the oppression of the Empire. So here, Din, his scope continues to increase. We see his character continue to develop. And my argument is that absolutely we see his character developing. Absolutely we see him and the child forming this relationship. Remember, at the end of the chapter, the child wants to keep the tadpole as a pet, and Din says, "No, I've got enough pets already," referring to the child being his pet. I don't think he literally meant pet as you would a dog or cat. He understands it's a child, but that's the case. Let me go back. I see your comment, Magic Maker. So let me go up here. I got to get caught back up. Multiple video. Okay, here we go. Reefer Man, I unsubscribe from Din until the end of the year because they're often far too close to the truth over there. Want to remain unspoiled. I do give Josh credit today. He definitely put in the title that it would be about spoilers. He put on the screen it was about spoilers. He often mentioned it was about spoilers, and it's really easy to avoid. He didn't put anything in the thumbnail or the title that was a spoiler itself. I thought he did a nice job today. Really good job. But I absolutely understand trying to stay away, as the Magic Maker said, it's understandable. Yeah. If you want to avoid spoiler discussion, Josh does a really good job of fact checking. Although I think he's going to be wrong. I think he's going to be wrong about his prediction of Sabine and Ezra Bridger being in this episode, in this season. I've been saying all along, those rumors came off of casting rumors, not off of character rumors. And when we found out that the casting was wrong, then you should jettison the character rumors as well, because that was their source. And he's still holding out hope that he's going to see Ezra and Sabine, and I don't think he is. And so as far as that goes as a spoiler, that was all speculation, and I think he's going to be wrong, and I can't wait for him to be wrong. I absolutely can't wait. Oh, that's a lot of fun. Yeah, if we get multiple shows, you have to stay on the sub. Yeah, Wandering Dog. I think Mando will find Ahsoka. There'll be minor conflict. Yeah, I don't want to get into spoiler episode, but this is just with speculation. I have been saying for a long time, and as I said earlier here, even that I think Ahsoka could be the Ant type figure. Maybe she won't be. Maybe it'll be another. But I did think that they would find Ahsoka. There's a lot of questions that need to be answered as we talk about Ahsoka. Here she shows up. We've known for some time that Ahsoka is going to be, and then Rosario Dawson was cast to portray her. Where has she been? We know that the search for Ezra kept her away during the original trilogy, right? She may have been in the unknown regions, tracking Thrawn and Ezra as they were out there and trying to bring Ezra back. But now we find she's back in universe, right? She's back in the known galaxy, and Din is going there. Why is she there? What is she doing? What's her relationship to Luke? Does she have any relationship? Does she know anything about him? What is going on? What is she currently up to? Where's Ezra? Where is Sabine if she's returned? So these are all fantastic questions that remain unresolved that I don't think are part of The Mandalorian, but it'll be part of the spinoff, and we find out where that's coming from. Much like the rumors of Boba Fett's spinoff series being prequel to Mandalorian, I think we may get Ahsoka in this time period leading up to this encounter, and perhaps even afterwards. So those are all great questions. And where is she during the sequel trilogy? Where's the child during the sequel trilogy? What's going on? And I think one of the best things that Josh has kind of predicted or theorized about is that the universe is much larger than just the sequel trilogy story with the First Order and that whole conflict. That was just one little skirmish going on. Little, maybe not so little, but maybe just in the scope of things, there are other things going on throughout the galaxy that have nothing to do with that, and that this storyline of the sequels can be a standalone storyline that is happening concurrent to other stories. Yeah, absolutely. Wandering Dog, will interview and wipe out all the Dark Troopers. Yeah, so the Dark Troopers that showed up in the end of Chapter 12, The Siege, I think that is a fair assessment that Ahsoka will have to do battle with them, because the tracking device that is on the Razor Crest, and that Moff Gideon is going to show up with the Dark Troopers, and there's going to be quite the skirmish when they end up meeting. Mark, the weekly excitement for these episodes is so much fun to speculate about. Yeah, I absolutely love the speculation. It's been a lot of fun, and a Magic Maker and I have been having a lot of fun with these too. And I saw your comment in a minute. We'll get here in a second. Wandering Dog, search for the child starts again, leading to Thrawn and Ezra next season. Boba and Mando. There's been a lot of good speculation about Boba maybe being hired by Moff Gideon to go search for Din and the child after this episode. I think there might be some credibility in that speculation. Dark Troopers will play a role. Yeah. Reefer Man, unsubscribe some other business going on. Yeah. Reefer Man, I've had some struggles myself, and that are going on, and I've really debated about where my subscriptions are, my support, but for now I'm still firmly on board with the Din. Imagine this is the part that made me laugh, because I saw this. I know you were right. You don't have to rub it in. Well, it's just fun. It's a lot of fun. Let's see. Den of Nerds is a spoiler channel. Yeah, right. Josh is wrong. Like, yeah. And Mark and I have been kind of keeping track of Josh and his speculations. And, I don't think we'll see Sabine or Ezra either. That's right, Reefer Man. I agree with you. I think we're all pretty much in agreement. Gray's in agreement. Yeah, I kind of resigned to that too. Although you really wanted to see them. I really want to see them too, Mark. But I think we're going to get them more after the Search for Ezra Bridger animated series. And I don't think we're going to get a lot of them now. We may get a cameo at some point, but I don't think so. I do not think they'll fight. I think that, and I mentioned it on my talk with or in the chat this morning with Josh. When Din first met Cara Dune, they ended up in a bit of a skirmish in a wrestling match. I think it could go very similar to that. It wouldn't surprise me because you got people who are defensive and who have been looking out for people who are tracking them. And if Ahsoka senses that Din is tracking her as any kind of threat, she may not meet him with wide open arms and a hug. Din and leaks. Josh is pretty adamant they're coming. Right. Josh was very adamant for a while that absolutely Ezra and Sabine were going to be there. And he was kind of mocking people who said they weren't. His tune has been changing. And that's really good. She's probably hiding, saving people. Yeah, I think so too. She's probably still fighting the good fight. She may actually be an adversary of Moff Gideon in another storyline. Right? It's just intersecting. Absolutely. Yeah. So a Magic Maker has been making this point now for a couple of weeks. We've been talking about it, the tie between Corvus and Cronist. Now, for those that aren't familiar, Cronist is where Sabine is from. Her house, if you put it in those terms. Sabine is, her family is from Cronist. It is a Mandalorian planet to some degree, a home world to Mandalorians of certain creeds, and that's where Sabine's family comes from. And that Corvus could be in the same system, it could be in the same vicinity, or have some connection to Cronist. I'm curious to see that play out, a Magic Maker. I think you've got some really good points, and I'm curious to see if that comes to fruition. Reefer Man, I don't even want to know that Ezra's still alive. I want this to be its own story. Yeah, I want it to be its own story too. I'm a little concerned about all the tie-ins, but so far so good. It all comes down to execution. Always comes down to execution, and that's fine. Great. I don't think her meeting Din and just starting to fight characters not like that at all. Yeah. I try to remember how the scuffle between Din and Cara got started. They didn't just immediately start fighting, but when she felt that he was tracking her, she was wondering, what are you up to? So good question. Dale, her mother was born there, but Sabine was not. Sabine was born on Mandalore. Right. So there, I'm caught up. Continuing the review of season 2, the first half. It ends with chapter 12, the siege. Chapter 4 or episode 4, the siege. The siege again. It started off. A Magic Maker and I had predicted that in the first part of the episode that he would be headed straight to Corvus, and he was, but the Razor Crest was just not capable of getting there. So they end up back on Navarro, and of course. They end up with some old allies, as it mentions here. In chapter 11, Din forms new allies. In chapter 12, he's rejoining old allies. And again, I keep saying, I think that every episode has seen Din's character evolve and continue to grow. And Trev has been critical of it, as well as some other folks in other Discord channels that I've had to go through, and I step through this step by step. I absolutely see Din growing and evolving in his relationship with the child. So he started off earlier in the season saying, where I go, the child goes, or where the child goes, I go. And here he takes Grief Karga wants to leave the child in that classroom, and the first thing Din says is, no, we go together. And here he has to trust Grief. Grief says, I stake myself on this. You can leave him here. He'll be safe. And so we see Din putting trust in an ally, an old ally. And so we do see his his character develop. Again, he's beginning to trust others. He's not just the loner. He's not just seeing that he gets support from his own moral code, but he's beginning to trust others as well. And so much so that he could leave the child in that classroom. And I saw one of the criticisms was that in chapter 12, he just leaves the child and he's not caring for it. Well, it shows the amount of trust he has for Grief and Cara Dune, and how much they've cleaned up Navarro and made that a safe spot. He is trusting them, and that is a stretch for him. Even so, when he gets to the end and they find out that Moff Gideon is still exerting influence on the planet, he immediately leaves to go get the child. So he wants to make sure that the child's safe, and he does so. And in those actions, then he is able to retrieve the Razor Crest and defend his allies. Right? He doesn't just take the Razor Crest and get out of Dodge. He goes back and helps his friends. He helps Grief and Cara in destroying those TIE fighters that were after him. So I think it's absolutely showing that he's growing, and it's moving the story forward further, because the Razor Crest was incapable of getting to this planet. So if anything, chapter 12 was your filler episode. People tried to put that back on chapter 10, and I think that's completely unfair. If anything, chapter 12 would have been the filler episode, because he had to go back to Navarro to get these repairs. Although it did fall well into the adventures, right? So he's continuing to build these relationships with others and rely on others for assistance. And now he's back on track to go back to the search for Ahsoka, where we're headed in chapter 13. So let me get caught up just a little bit. I saw a couple of things here. Mandalorian. Okay. In Favreau trust. Okay, let me go back here and we'll just read these comments. We never found out what that carbonite block in the Razor Crest was. Yeah, you know what, Mark, that's a really good point. And I watched again during the episode, and when I went back through the second and third time, and I kind of paused it there. I think that we ended up with some post-production editing that put this episode in a different place than maybe it originally started. I think that it's very likely that the Razor Crest ended up going to Navarro in a different place where he had gotten that bounty. You can clearly see that carbonite block in the stills. You can clearly see it in there, and it's not addressed at all. And I tried to look at it again in a way that, are we seeing all the way through to the vac chamber and all of that? Maybe the carbonite thing is open. No, there's a carbonite block hanging there for sure. So I think we're on to something here, and I think it's in the editing. And we're going to find out later that somewhere in this season. So we start now speculating about the second half of the season. I think Din is going to get a bounty at some point, and we're going to see it, and we will know, because we've talked about it here, we will know that it actually showed up in out of order, and it showed up in this chapter 12 and just was not addressed, right? And so I think absolutely we're going to see it come back into play. Gray, I feel Din is growing and evolving. Don't agree with Trev at all. Yeah, I agree. I think that he is growing. Mark, it was a stretch for me to believe Din would leave him at school. Right. It is a stretch, but you got to remember that Din has this relationship with Cara and Grief. And there was some speculation that Grief has some ulterior motives, but we haven't seen those come to play or come to light yet. But perhaps there will be. but maybe not. Maybe those rumors were wrong. Reefer man, Mark. Mark, once again, exactly. The fact that the child was left in the school so easily rankled, but it was easily forgotten. I think it's just because he had that trust in Grief. And when Grief said, "You have my word," he took him at it and believed him. And that he trusted Grief and Kara to know. So I think that's where it came down to. And that may be a stretch for Din's character to place trust in others. But I think it just shows where he's grown from where he started. At first, he would not have. But by the time we get halfway through season 2, we've seen his character grow so much that he can, at this point, put trust in them. I'm not sure how much the tracking chip may make him take a step back from that when he finds out that Grief's people put that tracking chip on there. But we'll see how that plays itself out. Nerdalot, I don't like the label filler episode. Every episode has a purpose. I agree with you, Sir Nerdalot. Absolutely agree. Mark, it might be a 3D CGI model from an earlier episode, even season 1 they just missed. Maybe. I'm not sure. I think that we'll find out. We'll find out if there is a bounty later in the season, and they come back to that. I see your point about trusting. Didn't think of before. I think my mindset was still on Dan as he was in season 1. Right. So that's been my point all along, is that the character is growing, and we do see him changing, evolving. We do see character development, and we see that the relationship between him and the child is developing as well. Note that at the beginning of chapter 12, he's telling the child, take the red wire and put it where you took the blue wire out of. Right? He's not talking to him like he's an infant. He's talking like to somebody that's just having a hard time understanding. So that's the deal there. Mark, I'm not sure trust necessarily growth when the whole galaxy's out to get the baby. Maybe. And Gray, I don't think Grief has ulterior motives. I don't think he does either. That's why I think maybe that rumor or that speculation is wrong. So now, just looking forward to the second half of the season, what might we see come to fruition? I think that we know that he's headed to meet Ahsoka. This next episode is titled "The Jedi." It's 45 minutes and 8 seconds long. They had to file that in Germany, and then people just start to watch those things, right? They know that according to certain legal, laws in countries, that they have to post certain information, and so they start watching those countries to get the information. In Germany, they had to post the runtime at 45 minutes and 8 seconds. So we know that from what they had to publish. So 45 minutes, 8 seconds makes it the third longest episode to date. And the title is rumored to be "The Jedi," and we should get the synopsis coming out like that. We've seen the Mandalorian rejoins old allies for a new mission. We should see something like that any time now. So we're going to see Din meet with Ahsoka. I think Ahsoka will only show up in this one episode, and she's going to go off wherever she is. She might be battling with Grief Karga. Not Grief, with Moff Gideon, and you'll see her character go off that way. We may not see Moff Gideon or Ahsoka for the rest of the season. Not sure about that. And if we do see Moff Gideon, perhaps Ahsoka will be in more than one episode. So again, I have no information. This is complete speculation, conjecture on my part, and I think that we're going to see. At some point, he's going to get another bounty to move them forward, and he's going to continue on this quest to find Luke Skywalker. I go back to my original prediction that this season will involve a cameo from Mark Hamill. I think that at some point we're going to get sort of a Force Awakens moment with Mark Hamill and Din Djarin and the child coming together. And I think that may be where the season sort of culminates, where it ends. I also go back to my prediction that the child is 50 years old. It's not a toddler. it has the appearance of a toddler. It's a diminutive species. It has the appearance of a toddler, and it acts the role to help disguise its true capabilities. And that I said this weeks ago, that I think it can speak basic. I can think it can is conversational, and that it may even be able to wield a lightsaber. I would not be shocked at all at 50 years old for him to have lightsaber training. Think about Yoda back in the temple with the younglings and the lightsabers in the training drones, right? I think it's been trained with a lightsaber. I think it may have its own lightsaber somewhere, or Ahsoka may have its lightsaber and give it to him. And that would account for some of the different rumors out there. I think that it would be hard for it to have hidden the lightsaber from Din this long. So at some point, I think it will get a lightsaber or get its lightsaber back, and Ahsoka may deliver that to him. And I do think that it can speak, and Ahsoka may even know him and say, "Hey, whatever your name is, I think it's been a long time. I haven't seen you. I've got something for you." And hand him the lightsaber, and then we'll be like, "You dirty little devil! I've been treating you like an infant all this time, and you actually can speak and hold conversation. You're killing me." So that's where I'm going back with that. And I've been saying that for weeks. This is not based off of the rumors. This isn't based off of the spoilers at all. This is just Santa's speculation. My tinfoil hat that I used to call it. I still think that's absolutely possible. Let's see. I think we're going to get a huge battle with Ahsoka Tano and Moff Gideon. Absolutely, Gray. And I think it could carry on for multiple episodes. I hope Ahsoka's appearance is well enough received spinoffs of greenlit for sure. Yeah, I think so too. You just blew my mind. It makes sense if you think about Yoda and Empire. Right. So Yoda in Empire Strikes Back, Yoda on Dagobah acts like he's a preschooler, right? A toddler, 2-3-year-old, with the whole mine, and taking the candy and acting like a fool. And I think, and he was 800 years old. And if the child here is 50 years old, he's just pretending to be a toddler because he has that appearance of a toddler. Yeah. Dale, my theory on toddler child is he spent some time as a pollywog tadpole. Yeah, I don't know what if they have a tadpole type infancy. Good point, Dale. So that's my predictions for the second half of the season. I think we're going to continue on this quest for Luke Skywalker, and that's still in play. I think the child can speak and has been trained with a lightsaber. Is not an infant, and that we're going to learn that in the course of events. Maybe not in the next episode, but throughout the rest of the season. And that's where we're going. So. Yeah, great. Yeah, he's acting younger than he is. I absolutely think so. There's some evidence to the contrary. Don't get me wrong. I still think it's a little bit of a tinfoil hat, but because the whole deal with the red wire, green wire, or blue wire, I don't know you would intentionally shock yourself that good if you knew what he was saying, and if you touch those two wires together, you're going to get a jolt. But who knows? Maybe he did. So I'm trying to maybe step that back a little bit, but that's still where I am on that. So that's been fun. This Thursday, a Magic Maker and I have been doing a joint show together on our predictions for the upcoming episode, what we think is going to happen during it. This Thursday happens to be Thanksgiving Day here in the United States, and a Magic Maker and I will be spending time with family. So we're going to try to work it out, and maybe we'll do something tomorrow. We'll record something and release it on Thursday. So let's see. We'll try to get our predictions out there, and we are collaborating now together. It's a channel announcement we made a couple weeks ago. We're fully collaborating together on each other's channels, and expect to see him as a weekly guest on my show. So Great. Yeah, I agree about the wires. May not be true. Yeah, Yoda and Dagobah. It makes sense. I still hold to it. I still hold to it. I hold that he's been trained with a lightsaber and that he can communicate in sentences. I'm just taking my ground on it. He's 50 years old. So we'll see. But I think Dale came back with a pretty good idea that in their early 30, 40 years, they could be in a non-communicative state. So I'm not sure. We'll see. With that, folks, it's been fun spending time together today. We look forward to the second half of the season. I hope you all have a fantastic Thanksgiving if you're celebrating that here in the United States. And until we see you next, super excited for this week's episode of The Mandalorian. You guys have a great day. And until we see you next time, Merry Christmas, everybody. Bye-bye.